Team, here we are. Welcome to a question and answer episode of Built Resilience. Today, for those who I haven't already met, my name is Bart Walsh. I'm a speaker, I'm a fitness expert, and I'm a very excited human because today is a question and answer, or answer, whichever state of Australia you're from, show. And if you want to contribute to a show just like this, you absolutely can. You can write your questions into hello@bartwalsh.com.au. Send me an email, be as detailed as you can. The questions I'm getting at the moment are quite short, which is good, but detail about your life context, about where you're at, your whatever. That context helps me answer these questions. And hey, remember to follow me on Instagram at walsh.fit and give this show a subscribe, a 5-star rating, all that quintessential podcast stuff. Team, we are going to introduce the first AI agent to read the first question.
I'm being made redundant. I don't really know how to feel, but I'm curious about any tips you might have to manage this change. Thanks.
So this question has essentially been my year this year, and I didn't plan 2025 to be about redundancies and managing change, but it has. The world is changing, and I think it's changing faster than we could even comprehend, and it's particularly changing in business. There are a number of presentations I've done this year, probably about 6 or 7. There have been 2 groups of people that are either being made redundant or having organizational change within their business. And this could be mass redundancies. This could be people having to drop down a rung of their hierarchy in that business. A lot of change is happening to how businesses are run. And so the advice I'm going to give today is for anyone going through any significant change, which I think is just about every single person in this world. And the person writing in this question, I don't really know how to feel. Congratulations, no one in this world knows how to feel with the advent of AI, what's going to happen in the future, the housing market, the economy. We're sort of a bit confused on how we feel, and to be honest, a lot of us just distract ourselves with social media and dopamine hits. But it's time to face this change head on and not see it as a pain point, but as a PowerPoint, not presentation. Let's move on. Now I want to say this at top. If you're having a large change happen in your life and in your role, I want you to draw a line in the sand of when that day happens. So the day you may be made redundant, your life is going to be different. It's going to change. It will never go back to the way that it is now. And again, that sounds pretty scary coming out of my mouth, but really it's probably the best thing for you because you now have a forced opportunity to cultivate something better. And the only way you can cultivate something better, whether that's a more purposeful career, a higher salary, more impact within your industry, the only way you can do that is own the circumstance, own the challenge that's in front of you. This is my first rule of resilience. When we're faced with a challenge, we have to own it. I've been having a lot of conversations with people in the same situation as you, and they're blaming their company, they're blaming their boss, they're blaming the industry, when really that blame is just making them a victim of the situation. So team, remember this. As soon as you blame someone or something for your problems, you are choosing to be a victim. As soon as you blame, you are choosing to be a victim, even though it feels good to blame sometimes. So the first step I want you to do is put blame aside and own it. Here's the challenge in front of you. It is mine. The only person that can fix it, that can make the situation better, is me. If that means you have to write it down, to journal it, if it means you have to stand in front of a mirror and face yourself and tell yourself that, then do it. But I want you to find a way to own that circumstance. My go-to is write that sucker down. Write down how you're going to own this challenge, and then we can start making moves off the back of that, because once we've owned it, we now seek discomfort to find direction. The second rule of resilience. This is a crash course in my keynote speech here. We then seek discomfort, because if we do want something better, if we do want something more, it does not happen in a world of comfort. It does not just get given to you. Take it from me, a guy who thought for many years the world would be put on my plate and it didn't happen. You have to work for it, and you have to get uncomfortable to see what is possible. And so what this might mean for you is talking to people outside of your industry, in the industry that you want to work in. It might mean networking, which is terrifying to the introvert out there. It might be connecting with a person that you don't necessarily like, but might give you an opportunity. Hey, it might even be door knocking. You might be walking into a business and seeing what roles are there and not just relying on Seek or LinkedIn to find your next position. Hey, it might even be taking a plunge into entrepreneurship, the thing that you've always had in the back of your head. Well, now you have a redundancy package to start building what that future looks like. But you will not build it unless you get uncomfortable. So remember, your comfort zone's awesome. And in this modern world, it's so easy to stay in there. There's every social media platform you can ever find. There's every streaming service. Food is delivered to your comfort zone, almost to your lap, 365 days of a year. But the growth doesn't happen there. You need to open the door of your comfort zone and step out. And the only person that can do that is you. So be brave. Think laterally and seek discomfort to give you direction in your life. And then the third step, the third rule of resilience, and the third step, tip I'm going to give this person is to love your fate and control what you can control. If there is a roadblock in front of you, something that you cannot control, you cannot even influence, don't stand in front of it and bang your head against it. Turn left or right and find another direction. Love the fact that it's there. Love your fate in the name of you can't influence that, and then use your own thoughts and your own actions to work around it. Do not sit in a life of stagnancy because of the roadblock in front of you. From a guy who's got a disability, I speak to a lot of people in a similar situation, and they're simply blaming their body for why their life is so mediocre. And hey, you are disadvantaged, absolutely, and you would never wish disability in any aspect upon anyone else, but we have it. We've got it. And the best thing we can do is love the fact that my nerves are going to erode over time, use them while I can, and find a different purpose, find a different way to have meaning in my life. And I'm going to encourage you to do the same in terms of redundancy. You can't control the redundancy. Don't blame it. Let's embrace it, and let's find another direction around it. And look, team, these 3 rules, own your circumstance, seek discomfort, and love your fate, they can be used in any challenge in your life, no matter how big or how small. But the most important one is owning it. We need to start where we stand, and we don't know where we stand unless we own the problem in front of us. Okay. Let's move on to question 2.
I'm on a health journey and have currently lost 40 kilos using Ozempic as a helping hand. My weight loss has been stalled for the last 3 months. Do you have any advice to keep the weight coming off? I need to lose another 20 kilograms.
The Ozempic question, a question I thought was going to pop up at some time, and it's finally here. But first, a big round of applause, please. If you're listening to this, clap for this person who's remaining anonymous. You've lost 40 kilos. 40 kilos already. That is an enormous amount of weight, and that should be celebrated day in, day out. And I'm really glad that you're still going. Another 20 to go. It's still a lot of weight to lose, and if I'm going to be honest with you, it's going to be the hardest weight for you to lose. The last 20, the last 10, the last 5, the last 1, they're the hardest to get off your body. And the funny thing is it might not be the last 20 kilos you lose. You'll gain, you'll fluctuate, but we'll go through that in just a second. I want to touch on Ozempic. Ozempic is magic. And I've come around to this. At first, when I heard of what this peptide does, I'll go through that in a second, I was very reluctant. Because I'm a purist when it comes to health and fitness. I think that our habits and behaviors will outweigh any supplement or any medical intervention. But I'm seeing Ozempic in a different light, and I see it similar to antidepressants. We know that antidepressants aren't the best for us. They mess with the way we feel, they mess with our hormones, they mess with our neurotransmitters, but they serve such an important role for so many people out there. As one of my friends told me years ago, Sarah, she said, look, antidepressants weren't the goal. They weren't a part of my story. But what they did do is they got me off the couch. They gave me the initial step into creating a better life. And purely because of that, they should be celebrated. Ozempic is the same. For millions and millions, maybe billions one day of people around the world, Ozempic will be the step into their fitness journey. The door will be open to them because of this medication. Is it the long-term solution? I don't think so. But I could be proven wrong. And so what Ozempic does is it's a GLP-1 agonist, it's a peptide. And a peptide is actually a natural compound. It's sorry to get a bit nerdy. It's a, what am I trying to say? It's a row in my head. It's a sequence is the word. A sequence of amino acids. Amino acids are the breakdowns of protein. It's a sequence of amino acids that will make your body work in different ways. So it's a bit different to hormone replacement therapy. Hormone replacement therapy is you put a hormone into your body. This one is sort of like a signal. You send a signal to your body through a peptide, and your body changes in certain ways. And we're finding Ozempic to be quite good for inflammation. It's anti-inflammatory, but the main benefit is it makes people eat less. It makes you less hungry. But what we're finding now is that people are eating so little food, which is good for weight loss, don't get me wrong, but they're eating so little food that they're burning a lot of their muscle. And every PT out there that hears that word, burning of muscle, their heart breaks. Because when we're looking at longevity, when we're looking at quality of life, when we're looking at metabolic health, muscle on your body is crucial, and we must do everything within our power to maintain it or build it. Because here's a situation that will happen for the typical person on Ozempic. They'll go on it, they'll lose a heap of weight. Perhaps this person, they'll lose 40 kilos, but along with those 40 kilos, there might be 10 kilos of muscle, which might be exaggerating it, but it's a lot. And so they come out of it, they say, hey, I don't need it anymore. Their metabolism is so low because they're eating very little food. Their muscle mass is decreased, meaning their metabolism is even lower, which means if they eat very minimal calories over what they're eating now, they're going to gain that weight back and more some and be in a worse spot because they also have less muscle. I'm sorry if this sort of evades your logic here. We must keep the muscle in our body. So firstly, for this person, I want to make sure that you are lifting weights and lifting heavy weights. I don't want you to be going into the gym, getting sweaty and panting. I want you to be going into the gym, lifting something really heavy, stressing your body neurologically, and then recovering, resting between your sets. And if you're not working with a trainer already, please do. They'll point you in the right direction. And if you're on the Sunshine Coast or in Brizzy and you are on Ozempic and you want a trainer to help you, I know someone. They're one of the best trainers that I know. Reach out, hello@bartwalsh.com.au, and I'll shoot you to him. He specifies in people on Ozempic, and he's using a methodology that looks long-term and not just short-term for short-term weight loss. Now let's go back to the question. I didn't intend this to be so fitnessy, but stay with me. Do you have any advice to keep the weight coming off? So let's just say you're staying on Ozempic, which I think you should. You're eating maybe 1,000 calories a day, which is typical for someone on Ozempic, but it's very low, and there's no weight coming off. The first thing you can do is eat less, which I do not recommend. For most of the clients that I coach, I don't want them, male or female, to be below 1,600 calories. 1,600 calories is the bare minimum. I want most of them to be around the 2,500, 3,000 calories a day. And we can do that by feeding the body and training in the right step. So I don't want you to cut your calories even more. I want you to commit for the next month, 2 months, 3 months. This is going to sound backwards, but to increase your calories and get stronger. I want you to build muscle. Because what this is going to do is increase your metabolism, which means you'll be able to eat more food. You might be able to bump up your calories to 1,500, maybe 2,000 calories, depending on your weight and your training age. And then once we hit that point, we can then shave some more calories off and we'll see the fat fly off. So remember, weight loss is always a two-way street. It's a maintenance and building of muscle whilst burning the fat. It's not just losing as much weight as possible. I can cut off your arm and we'll lose 8 kilos, but you won't have an arm. So remember, there's a two-way street. It's muscle and fat. So my recommendation here is to commit to the next 3 months of getting as strong as possible on a squat, a deadlift, a push, and a pull. Increasing your calories just slightly. Have a chat to your trainer or a nutritionist to help you out here. Make sure you're hitting your protein targets so you are recovering from the training that we want you to do. Increase your total calorie intake to around that 2,000, 2,500, perhaps even higher. And then we can shave some calories off and you'll see the fat fly off again. Remember, weight loss is not linear. You don't just keep losing and losing and losing and losing and losing and losing. There has to be periods in your training journey where you gain that weight back, increase the metabolism for future weight loss, for future fat loss. If you have, and look, I know it might be a bit confusing here, but if you have any questions about this, if you're listening and going, I kind of get it, I kind of don't, write in hello@bartwalsh.com.au. Let me know your context like this person did, and we'll answer that question for you. Team, it's time for question number 3.
In your episode, How to Become a Motivational Speaker, you mentioned that surrounding yourself with people that have your back is important. I feel like I don't have anyone in my life that is there for me. How can I fix this?
Firstly, I want to say thank you for writing in this question, because I can guarantee you this line: I feel like I don't have anyone in my life that is there for me. I feel like there are millions of people in this world thinking that in their head, but not verbalizing this out loud. So thank you for bringing this to our attention. And hopefully I can help you fix or help you progress in this state. This stuff's really important. Our relational health is really important. And it might be hard for you to realize at the time, but you may need to make some changes. So if you're at a point where you feel like you don't have anyone supporting you, we're going to need to do something different. As I mentioned in the first question, we're going to need to seek discomfort. And the bottom line here is to take a look at yourself as well. Because one thing I've learned in this beautiful 34-year journey I've been on is that support attracts support. The more I serve someone else, the more I serve humanity, the more I get that support back. And so it might be a question of you not just seeking other friends or seeking a new environment, but also doing a bit of introspection and doing a bit of you as a person. How can you better support the people around you, and how can you better serve this world? And so I've written down a bit of a framework for you, and I hope this helps. But the first thing I want you to do is start with honesty. And you already have. Admitting to feeling alone is the first brave step. So congratulations, that's you owning the circumstance. I want you to show up as the friend that you want. So this goes back to self-reflection, self-introspection. How are you showing up in the relationships that you do have? Is there something better that you can serve? Because not only will you receive better support back, but you might find a different purpose, a different meaning in those relationships, and make those relationships even stronger. Remember, support attracts support. What you give out is what you get back. And then I want you to go first with vulnerability. I want you to reach out. I want you to join new communities. I want you to start the conversation with new people. And this might be absolutely and utterly terrifying for you. But that tells me it's probably the best thing that you can do. Go out and meet new people. Join a community group. Hey, join the line dancing group. Maybe join the local kayaking group. Maybe you should join the local Jets gym. If you take it from a guy that sees this in gyms around the world, people who join that community all of a sudden create a new environment of support and growth. It's a place where you go to get better, and everyone in that gym is also going there to get better and support each other. I love the gym so much. But you need to make that decision. You need to go out first, show vulnerability to get a better result. And then finally, I want you to focus on one person at a time, and not necessarily a crowd. If you're a bit like me, crowds might scare you. The scare might not be the right word, but parties, lots of loud noises, it's not my jam. People can't hear me. I don't have a loud voice. It's not the best. But even one genuine connection with one person, one-on-one, can change everything. We don't need to have 10 new friends in our lives. We don't need to have 10 new mentors. We just need to make one rich connection, which might open the door to others. So I want to summarize for you here. When you start with honesty, you've already done that. When you just show up as the friend you want to be, remember that support attracts support. And I want you to go first with vulnerability, seek new communities, reach out to new people, and then I want you to focus on one person at a time and not a crowd. Find that friendship soulmate and build that relationship. I honestly wish you well on this journey, and if you have any follow-up questions, please do write in. Let's move on to question numero cuatro.
Let's talk about breakfast. I know I should be listening to you and having it, but there is still a mental block around it. Any tips on how to make this a habit?
Isn't it funny? This question still pops up almost monthly for me, and it's about breakfast. It's about one meal in your day. Whenever I talk to someone about nutrition, it's like talking to someone about religion, because they're so close to it. It's so intimate to them. They have to do it every single day, and what they eat is so personal that when someone, a nuffy on a podcast, said, hey, maybe you should consider eating breakfast, they go, whoa, buddy. Hey, no, don't touch my food. They get very defensive. But nutrition is a huge health and performance lever that we can pull if we do it right, and if we find what is right for for us. And from the thousands of people I've trained, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands by proxy through Jets, eating breakfast suits most people. Not everyone, but most. And here is why. It's sort of like a barometer for your day. Barometer is not the right word, a benchmark. It's an expectation. You're setting yourself up for good nutrition for the rest of the day, particularly when it comes to hitting your targets. And so I don't do meal plans. I think meal plans aren't really worth our time. I prefer to coach people how to make their own meals and be a bit more intuitive. But there are a certain amount of grams of protein I'd love for you to hit. There are a certain amount of fiber I'd love for you to hit. There are certain amounts of water I'd love for you to drink. And if we miss breakfast, we're putting a lot of pressure on lunch and dinner to hit those targets. But if we get a good 50 grams of protein for breakfast, all of a sudden we just need another 50 for lunch and dinner, or throughout our day through snacks, and we're good. We hit our targets. If we miss that, it's hard to eat 75 grams of protein in 2 meals. So don't think of breakfast as a liability. Don't think of it as you're going to be better off without it. When you think of it as an opportunity to set up the rest of your day, and then you can pull levers of, hey, I'll take a bit of this out, I'll put a bit of this in for lunch and dinner. There's also a blood sugar regulatory thing happening. When we eat a balanced breakfast, high in protein, high in good fats, high in good quality carbohydrates, do not feed the carbohydrates, our blood sugar and our body will love us for it. If we have a poor breakfast where our blood sugar spikes and crashes, we're setting ourselves up for a day of fluctuations in blood sugar, depending on what you eat for the rest of the day. But a good breakfast will help regulate that. And if we have a regulated blood sugar, congratulations, you may have less cravings throughout your day, which might make you eat healthier and not make you eat the block of chocolate at 3 p.m. all because you had breakfast. There's so many, there's performance benefits as well. If you're trying to gain muscle, we need another meal in there to make sure we get enough nutrients. If you're trying to burn fat, the cravings thing, the blood sugar thing is really important. And if you're trying to perform well in the gym, we need to make sure we're getting, there's a whole heap of benefits for it. But there's one thing I want to touch on before I end here. I know this episode is getting a bit long in the tooth, but it's your gut. And so what people will do will be like, yes, Bart, I'm so motivated to eat breakfast now that when they wake up in the morning, they're like, I'm not hungry. In fact, the last thing I want is food. I want you to start slow and I want you to start small. It might look like half a banana and then a full banana and then maybe a protein shake. It's easy to digest. It's liquid with the banana. So I want you to dive straight into a big bowl of oats. Start small and work your way up because we have to factor in our bugs in our gut, our microbiome. They're used to a certain rhythm of eating, and that rhythm for you right now means no breakfast. And to change their rhythm, it will take time. So yep, it's going to be difficult the first few days when you try and eat breakfast. Lean in, don't make yourself sick, listen to your body, but commit to consistent small changes, 1% better every single day, and your bugs will come on board and all of a sudden you'll wake up and you're hungry. In fact, I'm at a point now where if I wake up and I'm ravenous, it means I didn't eat enough the day before. My bugs are telling me something. And these are cues you can start to pick up on your body when you eat a balanced diet. I hope that helps. So commit to it. And hey, you might be the exception to the rule. You might be one of those people who thrives off not eating breakfast. And that's absolutely okay. But my recommendation is to try finding a balanced 3 meal across your day first and then start pairing things off. Team, end of another episode. Thank you for being here today. I've got a few more presentations coming up in the next few months and weeks. The AMCA conference I'm very excited about. The Life Broker conference I'm very excited about. Even stuff into next year. I'm working with the Lucky Charm news agency team. It's going to be so good. If you want to follow along the journey, keep following these episodes. We'll be learning a bit more about me along the way. But thank you for contributing to the show, to people that wrote in the questions. If you do want to contribute, hello@bartwalsh.com.au. Follow me on the Instagram. And team, I will see you next week for another episode of Built Resilient. Remember to choose resilience.